Hi, this is the WayOut series. It is a collection of testimonies and revelations that can help you in your own healing journey. This is an online training on renewing your mind, inner healing, based on the way that's already behind me. This is not a few-step program. It is an encouragement and tools from someone on the way out to others on the way out. I believe that what meant a turning point for me will become yours as well. Have a great way out. Hi, it's the fourth part of the WayOut series. In the last one, we reached the bottom line, the darkest season of my life, and we even talked about the first step of my way out, which was someone praying for me and about suicidal thoughts. And after that, I was feeling okay, and I had a sense of power over suicidal thoughts, while I was still depressed and had all the other issues of rejection, self-hate, and all of that. So the next phase was last year of high school. I was really striving to get the best possible results at my final exam, so I was really strict about learning and studying even more than before. So I was really closed from all the other people. I was really narrow-mindedly focusing on my studies. I had some sense of achievement about them. I always had some success, and then I was happy about it a little bit. But even my happiness was kind of like this dull thing, under the thick fog of a dark sadness. But this last year of high school wasn't that sad for me, so I was actually on the way out. I was really focusing on going on to a university and studying linguistics. I was really talented in foreign languages, and I thought maybe this is the path I should choose. This was my coping mechanism, being successful and showing off that I'm a real person. So I decided to study at a university, and at the time I decided it, there was a change about the regulations, how you can study free of charge in Hungary. And this regulation, I won't explain it, but it made it impossible for me to go on a university and go to university. And I was like, okay, then I can't do the thing I wanted to do. Maybe I should just do something I like. And I just found out that I'm very creative, and maybe I should study design, and I took visual merchandising, but it wasn't available in my city, so I have to move to Budapest, which is quite far away from the little village where I used to live in with my parents. So I had to move to Budapest, completely new situation. I lived in a dormitory with other 5 people in the room. It was so out of my comfort zone. Everything was different, and I was suffering. I was very anxious. I was barely surviving. I felt like. So it was very, very tough. However, it was very useful because I had a very safe place for my lies in my previous setup. My parents kind of adjusted to my lives, my school, my way of life was built around my depression and bad way of thinking. So I didn't socialize, I didn't do anything new to protect my lives and my way of living, and I did everything to keep this safe, and there was nothing that would challenge it, like, because I had no friends, no new things. It was something very well preserved, how I was thinking. And yeah, so I don't blame my parents for my depression. I don't blame my studies or even my introvert personality. I just know that all of these things created the perfect setup for me to stay in that way of thinking, and that is this comfortable place for my lies had been shattered by moving away. And sometimes depression can be treated just by different habits and different way of life. Not in most of the cases, but there is a number of cases where your depression is only a soul issue, only a way of living issue. And when you start to take time to enjoy life and have a good sleep and eat normally, you just feel like, oh, I don't even have a problem. For me, it was way more complicated than that, but it was also part of it, that my way of living was completely supporting my mental illness, even if it wasn't the sole cause of it. So now living in Budapest, it was like everything challenged me. Like my classmates, my roommates, everything was just working against the set of lies I loved so much. Yes, so it was so challenging at times. I wanted to move home, and God just kept me there. And it's strange how much we love and support our lives, like how much we do to protect them. It's like an old, useless but dangerous pair of slippers. You don't throw it away because you are used to it, but it is really it is really useless and dangerous for you to use. And yeah, God just wants to clothe us and give us clothes that are both beautiful and functional, and yeah, so he wants to give us this way of thinking that gives us joy, but also makes it available to live the life that God has created us for. So it became way much harder to protect my depression here. The art school is something that is so out of the context of a Christian girl life. Like everyone is involved with drugs and partying and doing weird things. And what I learned from my parents is that those pagans, those unbelievers are like the servants of Satan, who are about to destroy their own lives and destroy the lives of everyone else. And it was so shocking to realize that, oh, actually these people like enjoy life. They don't do everything that well, but they are healthier than I am. Like, they think healthier, they can take risks, they can try new things, they can live without control addiction, they are free to do so many things that I'm not free to do. And it was a shock to see, like, this was the first thing that made me realize that, okay, the way I live and think is probably not that okay. And it was strange that they were so loving and accepting towards me. Like, oh, we want smoke weed, just come and hang out with us. Like, they were okay to like give up on things just so that I can hang out with them. And this is the kind of acceptance I never felt in my life. So this art community was way much more supportive for me than church or youth group or anything like that. And I was still reluctant and shying away and building up my defense system as fast as it was possible. But the change was so big in my life that I couldn't keep up with it. I couldn't build up the defense mechanisms fast enough to protect myself. So Holy Spirit could touch me through those people, and it was a great healing for me to be forced to live with them and hang out with them. And they were not perfect, they weren't doing everything okay, they didn't know anything about my condition, they just tried to be friends with me, and it was something new for me. And so many lies couldn't exist anymore because of their behavior. Like, I had this concept that everyone just hates me and wants to destroy me and thinks I'm a piece of crap and I shouldn't be alive. And they weren't like reassuring it all the time. And it was something new for me. And I still continued this performance thing. I tried to be the best at art school, which was different because it's not about like how much you learn, it's about how creative you are, and if the party girl drew something creative, she would get much better grades than I would with my 2 months project. So it was like my striving mentality was flipped on its head in art school. But soon I learned how to be good there, and I was one of the best students, and I loved it. It was way much less stress, like this few projects. It wasn't like really I couldn't study day and night for them. And I was missing that part after high school, so I had this idea that I should become a German, English, Hungarian interpreter and translator. And so I could learn like every free time, all the free time I had. And that was I was doing. I jumped on the train of let's amaze everyone so that I can feel acceptable train. So so I was studying very hard, and it's so funny how God is good enough to have his turning points integrated in the plans of the enemy. So he's so good that he allows the enemy to build up his ideas only in a way that he can have his way outs, his turning points, his launching pads to healing built into the very system of the enemy. So that's what has happened to me. I had this idea that, okay, I need to amaze everyone, that I do 2 schools at the same time or 3. And I thought it's a good idea, and the enemy was clapping to it. And God said, okay, let's see how far you go. And yeah, it was crazy how it actually turned out. Because of the lot of oral exams, I had to find people on the internet to chat with in English and in German, so that I can improve my speaking skills. It was so out of my comfort zone, but I had to do it to be able to pass the exams. And God was just like opening me up, like, you don't want to talk everyone and you hate everyone. Okay. Let's see how far you can go with that on this dream exam you have on your mind. So it was another point of my opening up. And the trickiest thing God had on his mind about this translator exam idea was that I was invited to be an interpreter at an international kids camp in my town, in my hometown. And it was the only option for me to practice real interpretation situation without like any artificial setup. So it's a real practice, real time, with real people, real situations. And I knew that if I miss it, like maybe I won't have any other chance to do it before my exam. So everyone was shouting against it in my mind, but I knew I had to say okay. So by the time I said I would go, I almost had like a panic attack, like, oh my gosh, I my life is over. Like, I was struggling to greet people or look people in the eye or have any kind of social connections at this time. So hanging out with people for a whole week was like something like hell to me. Like, I wasn't really ready to think about it. And besides the anxiety attack I had, I also felt something like a positive excitement that there is something going on there. I must be there. And so I went there. I was checking in, and the person at the check-in desk said that I shouldn't be checking in without my mother. And I was like, okay, I'm the interpreter for the week, I'm not a child participant in this camp. It was so funny. But it was getting even harder than that. It turned out that I'm not only the interpreter, which was an unimaginable thing for me, but also one of the group leaders in the camp. I actually got the teenager group, the oldest group, to look after in the whole week. Like, I had to hang out with them and preach to them in the mornings, and hang out with them in the social activities in the afternoon, and take them to the meals and all that. And I was like, I can't believe it. I'm gonna collapse. I can't do that. It just, I was so panicking so much that I knew that I don't have time to panic. Like, I wanted to freak out, but I just couldn't. And because I had no time and space in my mind for that. So I just told God that if you only make me survive this week. And the only relationship with God at this time was praying for exams and thanking him that he made me through them. That was my thing with God. And at this time I hadn't talked to God for a long time, besides exams. And I woke up early in the morning to spend time with God and listen to worship music, and I was like up late in the night praying for the next day. So I was like really freaked out, so desperate that I even opened up to God. It's strange that sometimes we have had to be pushed to the very limits of our of our everything to finally allow God to come. Yeah. So everything went wrong in this camp. Every possible thing. Like, there was some abuse happening and bullying among the kids. We even had some kind of virus going on among the kids, with diarrhea and vomiting and all that. So we had crazy high temperatures and days with pouring rain when we had to like find out activities for the kids in a 20 square meter place. And so it was crazy. I was out of my comfort zone like all the time, like kilometers away. Like I wasn't even close to it the whole time. And the funny thing was that the kids were loving hanging out with me. Like it was so strange. Like, why do you love me? Like, you should hate me. And the other funny thing was the ministry team. The only other person who was Hungarian as well was a guy who just got saved 2 weeks before. And all the other residents, besides the kids, were an international minister team. And they were so kind and loving to me that they never missed the chance to encourage me and love on me and praise me and support me and lift me up. I was like, who are you? You are straight from heaven or what? Like, it was something insane for me. In Hungary, we don't really have a culture of lifting each other up. Like, at least not that much. It was something like shocking for me. So every time I was hanging around Christians, I was like okay, or it was like neutral at best. So it was also like something that attacked my pile of lies. That okay, here there are these people who know God, who live their lives to minister God, and they think you're cool. They think you have so much of God in you. They think you do your things well, and it was the time I had to question some of my lies, that maybe I'm not just a piece of crap. Like, maybe there's something about me that they can see. I didn't believe them. I was thinking like, they are overdoing it, this praising thing, or maybe they are ironic, like they can't mean what they say, they are just like too kind for that. But I knew that it wasn't the case, so I somehow had to like allow the idea that maybe they see something more than I do. And it was great to see this other guy, other Hungarian guy who was a drug addict 2 weeks before the camp and got radically saved, and he didn't know anything about like Christianity, nothing. And he was so free and so full of life, and he was enjoying the whole time. He wasn't like depressed in the anxiety and all that. He just enjoyed the time with the kids. And I was like, okay, I know all the answers. I'm very well taught. I was raised in a Christian family, and I can answer all the questions, even from him. And he's doing so much better than I am. There is something wrong here. Like, I don't know, but it is suspicious. Yeah. So that was the first, not the first, but that was another mirror. Like, okay, look, something is wrong. Like, it wasn't to blame me or tell me that I'm not lovable. It was like, look, there is something wrong about the way you live and think. And it's good. It's the love of God to let us face what is wrong and what is not us and what we are not created for. And of course, it can fuel self-hatred and condemnation at times. Like, okay, I'm doing this wrong, I'm thinking wrong. But it's actually a stepping stone on your way out to realize that, okay, God is showing me a way much higher perspective. He thinks I can do better, I can live better. He thinks I'm worthy for way much more. Yeah. So it was a great experience to see this guy. So I was at the edge of mental breakdown every day. I was way out of all of my strengths and all of my abilities and everything. And I remember on the last day there was a puppet show because it was raining the third day in a row and we couldn't do anything with the kids. And I was just like so tired that I was just like, there were these tears running down my face, and I wasn't sad. I was just out. and I remember God was telling me, and it was in my head, nothing like outer voice, but it was clear. And he said, can't you see that I am healing you? And it is happening right now. And remember 3 years before you were thinking about suicide constantly, and now you are here and these kids don't even want to go to lunch so that they can listen to you longer. Don't you see how far I have taken you? And if I was able to take you that far, don't you think that the rest of the journey, of your healing journey, is not a challenge for me? And it just hit me, like, it is not just like it will happen one day, but it is happening. He's healing me. Everything is gonna be okay. Living with the kids at the art school made me realize that something was wrong, and this new believer guy also made me realize that, okay, something about my thinking is messed up. And of course there was a bad feeling about it, like, oh, I'm that miserable. But also, like, it is not just a part of my personality. This is not who I am. So God can actually change it and take me out of this. And it was a hopeful thing. So the camp was over. I went home. I was sleeping like 2 or 3 days in a row, like without with only interruptions to bathroom and kitchen, and that's all. And by the time I woke up, I felt like I'm not the same person. I don't know what has happened to me. I still don't know, because I still had to struggle with depression and all the identity issues later. But I felt like something about me had gone to this camp and didn't come back. I've lost something there. And since that time, I had a strong assurance that I'm healing, I'm getting healed, I'm very much in the process, and I'm gonna be okay. Like, I'm on the train towards healing, and maybe I can jump off, but it's heading towards healing. And I had this sense of ease about it, like, I'm doing great, like, God is taking me there. And in a charismatic language, we can say, I finally had the faith for my healing. I believed in healing all my life, almost. Like, I believed the stories about people getting out of wheelchairs, and I believed in all the supernatural. I just didn't believe that it would happen to me. And this was the point when I just, more like believing, it was just knowing that I'm there. It's a fact. Like, it's not just like, oh, I believe for it. This is it. I'm right in the middle of it. And like, it's like kind of faith when you know that it is impossible not to happen. That's what I felt. And there was no reason for believing it, because I wasn't like feeling way much better in every way. It was like, I just knew that I would get healed, and I am getting healed. Yeah. And the other thing was that I knew I wanted to get healed. Because many times, remember when Jesus said, asked the lame, I think, whether he wanted to get healed. Like, do you want me to heal you? And I'm like, oh yeah, of course he would want it. And that's the trick. It's not that logical and obvious. Like, when you are in a situation, it's your home. It's safe to you because you know it. That's why people from abusing relationship go to another abusive relationship, because that's where they feel safe at. And that was the same with me. Depression was my home, and all this rejection and self-hatred and all that was the place that I was comfortable with, like this old and worn out shoe that you don't want to get rid of because it's yours. And it's shocking to realize like how much I was like making my sickness happen, and I was sustaining it. Like every now and then some parts of it wanted to fade away, and I made it stay. Like I want to feel that miserable. Don't you ever question that it's right for me to feel hatred towards myself, because I know better. Like, I didn't allow people to attack my structure of lies. It was mine. It was me, in a sense. I was identifying with it. So yeah, so it was a turning point to like see that it is bad. Like, it's not me, it's a bunch of lies. I'm gonna get healed. I want to be healed of it, and I'm gonna get healed of it. And wanting to get healed is a huge deal. Like, it's not something that's obvious. And of course it wasn't like, oh, I really want to be depressed for the rest of my life. It was way much less tangible than that. Like it was like a mindless agreeing, cooperating, letting it happen, contributing to its existence, not knowing any better. If you don't have, you can have. If you don't know, you can have better. You're okay with the worst. So that's all I knew, so I didn't want it to change. It was all of that. And when God made me see that it is something wrong, you are not created for it. It's just not you. I felt all the time I fooled everyone, but I thought like the real me is even worse than that. And God just said, oh no, the real you is very good and you are just fooling yourself with this bad identity. Yeah. So since then, that time I had this strong conviction that I'm gonna be okay, and I'm getting okay, and I also had this disgust about my depression and all the mental issues, like, and not in a bad sense, in the best possible sense. I finally realized like, oh, it's something bad. I don't want it. Like, I'm done with this. Like, I want to finish this thing. And this point is very crucial. And I think I'm gonna share more about the next phase of my healing journey in the following video. I think I'm gonna make a practice video for this session as well. Let's see. God bless you guys, and see you next time. Thank you for watching this video. I hope it was a blessing for you. This course is completely free of charge. However, the production and editing has a cost, and I wanted to produce this series in the best possible quality and make it available to everyone absolutely free on YouTube. So if you feel led to, please contribute with any amount to the production costs. All the donation options and the payment methods are available in the description.